Hey, what's up, Internet? So today we want to go over a really cool tool called CodePen, which allows you to code instantaneously in your browser without needing to install any additional tools. So let's get started. All right, so in order to do this, you can go ahead to the following URL. It's going to be codepen.io. All right, and so once we're here, let's sort of talk a little bit briefly about what CodePen is. Then we'll do an overview of the site. We'll look at how to sign up, log in. We'll create a new pen, or essentially a new sheet that you can start coding in. We'll create a little project. We'll look at how you can navigate that little project or that little interface. We'll look at things like how you can open up your console, keyboard shortcuts. We'll look at how to share your what's called a pen with other people. And then we'll look at how to clone a project, sort of how to build off of something that you found that you like. And then lastly, we'll touch on the difference between CodePen Free and CodePen Pro. So let's get started. All right, so you're here, and let's think about what CodePen is. So in CodePen's own words, CodePen is a social development environment for front-end engineers and developers. But really, what does that mean? It means it's a place that you can code, you can explore, you can connect, and you can discover. Think of it as a place where you can go on the internet and immediately start coding in JavaScript without having to download additional tools. It's all happening in your browser, i.e. the cloud. Now, there are additional tools, things like Replit or CodeChef, that will allow you to program in different languages, whether that be Ruby, C++, Python. CodePen, on the other hand, is exclusively focused on three things: JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So with that, let's look at how you would sign up. Well, as in most websites these days, it shouldn't be too hard to sign up. There's often a sign up button up near the top of the screen. So we're going to go to this green button and click sign up. Now, there are a variety of different ways that you can sign up: Twitter, GitHub, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to sign up with email. So let's say that my real name, as I'm sure you know, is CoLearnable. Yep, that's my real name. And our username, we want that to be CoLearnable. And guess what our email address is? colearnable@gmail.com. And our top secret password is, yeah, we're not going to tell you, but good try. And then we're going to click this green button here, and it will load and automatically create what's called a pen. Now, we could obviously take a tour, but that's sort of what we're here for. So we want to give you the tour rather than CodePen give you the tour. But essentially, the way CodePen works is you, by default, get three different sheets. You get an HTML sheet, a CSS sheet, and a JavaScript sheet. Now, if you want to sort of change the way that it displays something, so if you wanted to create a paragraph tag, you would probably have to type it correctly. So we could do a paragraph tag, and I can't type today, and we would say hello world, and it will show up here on the bottom of the screen. Now, if you want to save that, you can click this button here, which is save, but generally it saves automatically. Now, if you don't like the way this sort of the display is shown, you can come here and you can drag this up so you can have more of sort of what your web page would look like, or scroll down if you want more space for coding. You can also do that the same here. Maybe you're not doing so much HTML and you're not doing so much CSS and you're mostly going to code in JavaScript, so you could say like console log hello there. Boom. And then you're like, okay, that's great. I wrote some JavaScript, but where does my JavaScript show up? If you want to open the console, you go to the bottom corner here and click the console button. I know, amazing. And then you sort of see that the JavaScript we're written here, when we log something to our console with the console.log method, it shows up in our console. Now, if you go to settings here, there are a number of different things you can do. So you can change the name. So we could say this is CoLearnable example CodePen. But that's actually a pretty terrible name. So let's say that you save and change it. You'll then know that it's a new project here, the project name. We could also come up here and change this. We'll say Airbnb example landing page, which is sort of the project that we'll want to do together. All right, so you can also click this button here, which is change view. So there are editor views. there's detailed views, full page view, so we could sort of see what that would be, but obviously we would have to verify our email address, which I don't think we're going to do in this video. So instead we're going to hit the back button. We've gone ahead and we've created an account. If you want to log out, you click the little icon here and then you go to log out. Say that you've already signed up and you want to log in, you'd click this button here and you would put in your username or your email, go learnable, and then we're going to type in our password. Boom. Okay, so we get to this page. Now, there are a few different things that you might want to look. So you can see a collection of all of your different pens or projects here. You can sort of look at different designers or programmers that you might be following. Trending is kind of cool. You can go here and you can look at challenges, which every month they have different challenges. Again, here you can look at different trending projects, which is kind of cool. So like this is how you would make an animated tab bar. But let's say we want to go back to our original project. So you go here and here is our example project. So we're going to click that and we're back. All right, so that is all fun and well, but then sort of how might we go about doing an actual project? Now I've thought about how we might want to design an Airbnb page. And it actually, I think, makes the most sense if I were to just sort of take some code and paste it. And then if you have questions, I can sort of walk through that at a later time. But let's say that we had some HTML. We're going to paste it here. And then we're going to take some CSS, again, which I've already written, and we're going to paste it here. And then we'll add some JavaScript and paste it in here. All right, and I'm going to adjust these windows so that they're about the same size. And let's say that we wanted to go through this. So basically what we have here, let's close the console, is say we wanted to design a web page, like a landing page for Airbnb. Airbnb just went public here in the US. And so imagine you were hired to create them this new super duper amazing landing page. And basically what you want to happen is when you click this button, it will go to airbnb.com. Bada bing, bada boom, like that. All right, so if I were to walk you through sort of the different parts of the code very, very quickly, again, you're not supposed to perhaps understand all of this. It depends on where you are at your journey. Maybe this is super simple for you, but in any case, basically you just have a regular HTML page. So you have HTML tag and an HTML tag, and then within that you have another tag, which is your head, and here you have basically a meta tag saying use this character set, our title, which would show up on the little tab here if this was an independent web page. Then we have a link. So we're using Bootstrap. So a lot of benefits come with Bootstrap. There's already a sort of standard styling that you can have access to. And then we're creating here what is called a div. And then we're adding a specific class banner, which is a custom class, which will go about here. We're adding an H1 tag, a P tag, a paragraph tag, and then here we're adding an anchor link, and we're giving it both an ID and a text here. So come explore. Now here we've just copied and pasted some scripts. So if you were to go to Bootstrap CDN, Bootstrap link, and you were to go to get Bootstrap and then introduction, essentially all I've done is I've taken this tag here, I've copied it and pasted it here in my head tag. And then what I've done is I've gone and there are these 3 additional script tags of JavaScript that give additional functionality for Bootstrap, and I've pasted them here like this. And then I've created this custom CSS. So basically there's this class which we're calling a banner, and the banner basically just has a background size which we're covering. We're using a background image. We've got this background image from a place called Unsplash. It's really cool. Royalty-free images, so I just search for like something like Airbnb And then I went to orientation, landscape, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. That one's cool. Scroll down. And when I found one I liked, I went like this. I right clicked, I copied the image address. And then here you'll notice in this div tag where we're assigning the class of banner, basically what I've done is I've just taken this URL and I've pasted it in there, and then I hit save. It should update with this new image. So that's sort of just what's going on here. And then you have additional CSS styling for the H1 and for the paragraph tag. Then what's going down here is essentially you've just assigned a button class and then created this custom button class where we're saying we want the text to be white, we want this padding to be this specific amount, background color we want it to be like this, we want a transition so that when you hover over it and you have this hover effect, essentially it changes colors. And then sort of just the last thing I would note is because this is an anchor tag, essentially what I want to happen is when I click this button, I want it to open in a new page. And so that's what this target equals underscore blank essentially means, that when I click this, it opens in a new page. Whereas if I were to remove that, like this, if I were to save it, then when I click this button, you'll notice that it's essentially having a problem because it's CodePen, but it would be even more problematic if, let's undo that with Control Z. It would be even more problematic if it was like your own site. It was essentially just overwrite the site so that you would directly go to the site and the user would no longer be on your page. So anyway, we've just used an example where we have some HTML, some CSS, and then here the JavaScript, sort of random, contrived example. But basically what I've done is I've created a constant or sort of a variable, and I've assigned it to this item, which is document get element by ID. So here, if you look at this anchor tag, I've added an ID. So basically what this does is, if you want, we could log this value. Well, actually, let's just do it like this. Let's just take the JavaScript and then let's log it in our console. So here, it's essentially finding this individual element. And then what we're doing is we're finding this individual element, we're assigning it to a constant, i.e. a variable. And then we're adding an event listener. If you don't know what event listeners are, basically what's happening is there's this cool property that essentially you can find something, add an event listener, and then when a specific element happens, that essentially will trigger some JavaScript. So here is the link if you want to learn more about that. But basically we're saying once you click this button, we're going to console log you're now visiting Airbnb.com. So here, let's go down, let's scroll down. This is our console, watch our console. When we click this button, it will open a new tab, go to Airbnb.com, and then here it's essentially logging that to our console. Obviously, you could do way more cool things, but we just wanted to show an example in CodePen where you take some HTML, some CSS, and maybe some JavaScript, combine them together. All right, this is all well and cool, but if you wanted to share this, how might you share this? Well, there are a few different ways. The way sort of I like to think about doing it is you would copy this URL up into where there's the question mark or the query string. And then I'm going to open up Firefox. And once Firefox opens, we're going to paste that link into the browser like this. And we'll hit enter. And we'll wait. And you'll see that the page loads. So say that you coded up something really cool in CodePen and you want to share it, you would just copy the link and then send it, text it, SMS it, whatever, to your friend, colleague, employer, whatever you wanted to do. Now, one thing that I like about CodePen is that you can actually clone this. And by clone, I mean fork. But say that you really like this project. Like, for example, you can do this. I give you permission to use this for this project. But then you would come down here and you would go to fork. Now you would have to have your own username and password. So I guess I didn't 100% think about this, but you would sign in and then you would be able to sort of have this code in your own CodePen account and you can modify it. So say you wanted to change the button color to something like blue, you could do that. So here you could say blue and then save. And it's actually not working because we need to do important. And clearly it's not working because now we're on camera. So I'm just gonna undo that. And you could give it the color of FFFFF. F. And then you could say this text is black. And then when you scroll over it changes. Anyway, if you want to fork it, you can embed it, you can export it. There's lots of cool things that you can do with CodePen. All right, so that in a nutshell is what we wanted to say about CodePen. If you have any questions or comments about this tech, about this video, go ahead and add them in the comments section below. The last thing we wanted to go over was this idea of free versus paid. So here, if you go to the homepage, you'll know that there's a CodePen Pro. Sort of one of the major differences that I see is that basically if you don't have a pro account, all of the links that you create, all of the pens that you create or projects, they're essentially going to be public. So say you're working on this top secret stealth project, you would probably not want to use CodePen for a number of reasons, but one of those reasons is all of your code would be widely available to the internet to anyone who has a link. So there are also these additional features which you can check out on your own, but again, there is a slight difference between the pro and the free. By slight, I mean potentially huge, but it's really up to you. Anyway, that wraps it up for our video. Please add questions or comments in the comments section below. Feel free to subscribe and or like this video, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.